Good morning, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I am working as assistant professor in the Department of English at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today, in this video lecture, we shall be talking about Precis writing. We have talked about writing, we talked about notice writing, we talked about email writing, we talked about letter writing in the previous lectures. Now, today, we have a different topic with us in front of us, that is Precis writing. Let's see what this Precis is, where from this word came, and what is this Precis writing? How useful is this Precis writing? And why do we need Precis writing? Let's discover all these things in this video lecture. First, I would like to give you introduction about Precis writing. Precis is a French word which means a pruned or cut down statement. Precis. The pronunciation of the word is it's Precis, like this. This is the pronunciation of the word. So we have this diphthong here, which is A. It's pre, then it is C. Precis. It's Precis. It's a French word. Precis is a French word which means a pruned or a cut down statement. It's a statement, it's a writing, it's a passage, it's any text which is cut down, which has been cut down, where some portion of the writing has been reduced or has been cut or has been reduced simply. Then, in other words, I can say it's an abstract or summary. When we talk about Precis, we call it as an abstract. We call it as a summary. It's an abstract of a text. It's the summary of a text. It's not the real text which we are having. No doubt it contains all the events, all the main events, the main story, the main idea which is there in the passage, but it's being called as an abstract or summary because it's not the copy of the original text. Then, and in no sense it is equivalent to paraphrase, translation, or restatement. Precis writing is not like paraphrasing. It's not like we are having a text and we are paraphrasing that text. That's not Precis writing. And it's not translation. It's not like some text is written in any language and we are translating that. No, that's not Precis writing. And it's not restatement. It's not that we are making a restatement of any text or we are restating any existing statement. So Precis is different from paraphrasing. It is different from a translation. And it's different from restatement. Then it's merely the essence, the pith of a paragraph or of several paragraphs or even of a whole essay. So it is the gist. It's the crux of a paragraph or sometimes maybe of more than one paragraph or sometimes of a whole story. If you are writing the Precis of a whole story, so it's not compulsory or it's not mandatory that Precis is meant for only a single paragraph. Now that's not the case with Precis writing. It can be with a number of paragraphs. It can be a whole chapter. It can be a whole story extending up to many pages. A Precis is a summary, or as I said, is the gist of the main ideas of written matter. So thus, Precis writing means summarizing. So Precis writing, as I'm telling you, it is the gist of main ideas. You are having a paragraph in front of you and you are doing its precis writing. So what you are writing? You are writing the main, you are writing the gist of the main ideas. You are not rewriting the whole paragraph in your own words. You are not paraphrasing the whole text in your own words. Rather, what you are doing, you are writing the gist of the main idea. You are summarizing the main points only. And it's an exercise in concentration, comprehension, and condensation. This is an exercise which requires three processes. One is concentration. A precis writer has to give certain concentration to the text which he is which he is converting, for which he is writing the precis. So a precis writer has to give attention to the given text, to the given script. Then comprehension. Comprehension, you may be easily understanding what comprehension is, because we have had a lecture on comprehension, reading comprehension. Comprehension means to understand. It has been derived from a word comprehend, which means understand. So comprehension is needed. When you are writing a precis, first you have to concentrate on the given text. Then the second thing is you have to understand that text. Understand up to the fullest. You should know all the main ideas, all the sub ideas, all the main headings, all the subheadings. And condensation. Then you are going through the process of condensation. You are rejecting, you are neglecting, you are avoiding unnecessary details, extra information in the passage. So what you require the main ideas, main points, main details, main information you are jotting down. So you are not jotting down the whole text. As I told you, it's not paraphrasing. You are paraphrasing the whole text. No, that's not the purpose of precis. Rather, you are condensing the whole text and you are extracting the main information which is there in the original text. So this is the case with precis writing. First, a text should be understood. It should be given required concentration. Then after it can be understood, and then after it can be reduced up to the required length which a precis requires. That I'm telling. And in order to make a summary of an article, a speech or a story, one has to read it carefully and grasp its meaning. Now you are going to write a precis of a given text. So first what you have to do, first one has to understand the text carefully. One has to grasp the meaning of the text. Without understanding the text, without grasping the text, without observing or without understanding the whole meaning of the text, we cannot turn or we cannot write the precis of a given text. Because precis writing, it requires you to note down all the essential points, to note down the main happenings of the text. So it's incomplete if we are not able to understand the given text, if we are not able to grasp the meaning of the text, if we are not able to do the careful reading of the text. Once we do the careful reading, once we understand the whole text, then only we can write a good precis. Then, and in summarizing a passage, while writing a precis, though the length of the summary is not fixed, it's generally expected that the summary would be 1/3 of the length of the passage. So there is not any set rule, but it's mainly just accepted in all the circles of writing that the precis, it should have 1/3 of the actual length of the passage. That is, if we have a passage which is of 300 words, so our precis should be 100 words, around 100 words. one third of the actual length of the passage. So when you are writing a précis of any given text, you need to just keep this thing in your mind that your length should not exceed one third of the length of the actual passage. It should be one third of the length of the actual passage. So this is the criteria which is being or which has been accepted in all the writing circles about précis writing. What how can we do this process of condensation? How can we reduce the length? So it's simple. So one has to take the material and boil it down and reduce it down so as to get rid of all the parts which do not really matter. We are boiling the water. If it goes on boiling and boiling, the water quantity, it reduces. And when we boil the water, we this water, it gets rid of different pollutants, of different harmful like bacteria or something else. So we have to boil down the text. I mean, we have to reduce the text. We have to read it carefully. We have to do the thorough reading of the text. When we read it carefully, we become aware of all the essential and of all the unnecessary details. When we know the unnecessary details, obviously we will reject it. We will cut those details. And when we are cutting those details, we are reducing the text. So one has to boil down the text so that one can get rid of the parts which do not really matter, which are unnecessary. And you then collect what's left and put these points together in a short, concise summary. When you boil down the text, when you read the text, when you are able to observe the unnecessary details, so what you are doing, you are excluding those details, and obviously you are building or you are writing a short, concise summary. And when you are doing it successfully, that is précis writing. But the result must not be merely a list of important points. This is one of the important points which you need to keep in your mind, which you need to understand, and which you need to keep in your mind when you are writing your précis. What is that? The result must not be merely a list of important points or series of these jottings. So your précis, it should not be you are writing only the important points. No, that's not the purpose of précis, and that's not précis in real sense. Rather, it must be the same story, told clearly, readably, in a very much condensed form. It should be the same story which the author has expressed in the text which you have condensed, for which you have written the précis. So it should not be like, for example, there is a text in front of you which contains a story, or it's based on an idea. So what we are doing sometimes, we jot down the main points. Okay, these are the main points. We are giving some bullet points and we are writing point by point the main points. No, that's a mistake. Don't do that thing. That's not précis. We have to construct the same story in the same way in which the author has written it, in which the writer has written it. But we have to only exclude the unnecessary details. Sometimes there are the names of places, persons, some dates which you do not require in the real in your précis. So you can exclude those details. You have to compress it. So it's not like to jot down the important points. To jot down the important points is a mistake. Now, why précis? The question is, why are we writing précis? What is the purpose of précis? Why should we write the précis? The primary objective of précis writing is to present facts and information without reading unnecessary details. You all know nowadays the life is very busy. People have become more faster. So people don't have time to spend. People don't have time to spend for reading texts. for reading irrelevant information or unnecessary information. Because life is very faster. I would like to quote an example. Earlier, if you had to check anything, if you had to read any text or any topic, you require a book for that reading. And when you were having book in your hands, so you need to go through the book or through a particular chapter in order to understand an idea. Then when you were reading almost 10 to 20 pages, then you were able to find that topic which you need to just understand at a particular point of time. So nowadays the scene has got changed. People don't have time. We have internet right now. For example, you want to just read the same topic. There is no need to go with the 200 pages book. Then you are scanning the book and you feel, yeah, this topic may be in this chapter, which is of 50 pages long. So you need not to go with the 50 pages chapter. Then what you are doing? You are simply searching the topic on the internet, and you find the exact topic within 2 or 3 seconds, within 1 minute only. And you find the required information. So people don't have time now. This technology has made people very busy. So the main objective of Precis is, when you are writing a Precis of any text, you are excluding all the irrelevant information. So when you or some other person reads that text, it means he is reading the gist of that text. It means he is not reading anything irrelevant. It means he or she is not reading anything which is unnecessary. The whole text is important. So it saves your time. It allows you to spend your time on the necessary details on. It saves your time. It saves your time to study or to read only the relevant information. So number one. Number second, this, as I told you, this speedily reading, this busy life is both in private and government sector. If you go to business firms, government departments, etc., to other departments, you will see everybody is busy. Everybody has a lot of work to do. So this speedily reading, it is required in both private and government sector. It's required in business firms, in government departments, in government institutions, in hospitals, in MNCs, in small companies. Everywhere you will see people, they prefer to read speedily. They prefer to have small extract or small text or a small message to read. So for that purpose, Precis is required. Then I would like to quote the example of lawyers, journalists, students, etc. Businessmen also, government employees, private employees, they need to apply the art of Precis writing regularly in their day-to-day activities. As I told you, I gave you the details. Why people prefer this Precis writing? Because it gives them the original text, it gives them the real idea, it gives them the crux, it gives them the gist, it gives them the summary of the text, and it saves their time, and their life is busy. People are bound with their work schedule. They don't have time to read introductions, to go with the illustrations, to go with the examples. So they want the real idea, they want the exact message which you have to share. Then, see, lawyers, they have to summarize the main points of their cases. Lawyers, they need it because they have to summarize the main points of their cases. No need to go with the examples. You are in a court, you are a lawyer, you are in a court in front of the judge of a court. So he's not there to explain you bit by bit, one point to another point. He's not there to give you a lot of illustrations and examples. He has other work to do. Same is the case with the editors and reporters. They have to summarize news and speech. So for that, they need Precis writing. Now coming to the student section, students are making notes from lectures and textbooks. For that, Precis writing is required. Right now, I'm going with the flow because I have 40 to 50 minutes of time. So I'm not going with that speed so that by which you can skip the important information. I'm not going with that speed, but still I am maintaining a flow, a pace, because I'm time bound. So you cannot go with all the dialogues which I am sharing right now. You cannot write all the dialogues. Rather, you are writing the main points. You are writing the whole lecture, but in the main points. So students, they also require this Prezi writing. What are the characteristics of a good Prezi? If I told you the benefits of Prezi, how important it is, how good it is, so it is better to know its characteristics. What are the characteristics? A good Prezi is not merely a list of main ideas of a passage. As I told you, it's not the main, it's not the list of main points. Huh? Rather, the ideas are to be organized, expressed in a logical sequence so that the Prezi reads like an original piece of composition. Its first characteristic is this: it's not the detail or the list of main points. Rather, it is a composed text. It's a well structured text. It is a text where each and every idea is in sequence, is in order, so that the readers of the Prezi, they may not feel confused. They may not get less information. They may not get half of the information from the text. So the reader of a Prezi is expected to get the whole idea, to get the whole message from the Prezi. The first characteristic. Second, a good Prezi should contain all the essential ideas in the original passage. It is the text which contains all the ideas, and it omits non-essential ideas like examples, illustrations, and the idea should be as far as possible in the same order as in the original. Its characteristic is this: all the ideas, they are in the same order. It's not like the author of the text first he talked about one thing, but when you are converting it into a Prezi, you are giving those details in the conclusion. No, that's a faulty Prezi writing. They are in order. Every detail is in order. And we should remember that in a Prezi, one should not add anything that the original passage does not contain. So we cannot add our own details. We cannot add something extra. We cannot borrow details from other sources. Rather, we have to we have to write only those details which are there in the original text. And there is no need to comment on the original matter either. We cannot comment. We cannot show our own opinions, own ideas. So there is no need to comment. Rather, we have to write very honestly and sincerely. We have to convert the main text into the Prezi. So no need to comment, no need to share our own ideas. And the language of Prezi, it should be clear, brief, maintaining at the same time the style and spirit of the original. Coming to the language of the Prezi, it doesn't mean if you have to reduce a text to the 1/3 of the length of the actual passage, it doesn't mean we have to use the ambiguous words, bombastic language, complex sentences. It doesn't mean that. So we have to go with a clear language, simple language, so that the style and spirit of the original can be maintained. So we should not destroy the style and the spirit of the original passage by including difficult or ambiguous words. We should make it simple, we should make it clear. Because when we make it simple or clear, there are chances we may be successful in maintaining the original style and spirit of the passage. Then, a Prezi, it should be written in indirect speech. We cannot write Prezi in the direct speech. It's always better to write a Prezi in indirect speech. A good Prezi should, as far as possible, be in the writer's own words. It should be in writer's own words. Writer here means the Prezi writer. It's not the mere copy of the actual text. This is actually all. This is the writing which contains the whole idea which is there in the text, which contains the whole message in the text, but in the Prezi writer's own words. It should not exceed or fall short of length. It should not exceed one third of the length, or it should not reduce below one third of the length. Usually, the limit set for a Prezi is, as I told you, one third in the length of the original. And it must have a logical order and be well knit and well connected. Logical order in sequence, and it should be well knit. The ideas, the sentences, they should support to each other. It should seem, yes, there is an order, there is a connection between the sentences. It's not like the case in the first paragraph you're talking about the conclusion and your introduction, or some parts of your introduction, they are reflected in your conclusion, and your body, that's written in a very random manner. No, that's not the case with the present. Techniques. What are the different techniques of writing a Prezi? And there are three techniques required to produce a clear and successful Prezi. Three techniques are there. They are number one is reading. Number second is writing. We have the second one, that is writing. We have the third one, that is revision. We have three techniques. What does reading mean? How reading is a technique for writing a Prezi? See, read the passage carefully. We cannot write Prezi of any given text if we are not good readers, if we are not reading the text clearly or carefully. First, we should read the text carefully, and obviously one reading may not be enough to understand a text. One reading may not be enough. If one reading is not enough, we should also go with other readings. We should read it at second time. And as we read, find out the subject or the theme of the passage and what is said about the subject. When we are reading a text once, twice, or thrice, so what we need to do, we need to just find out the subject or the theme of the passage and what is said about the subject. For example, if we are reading a passage, it's written on love, or it is written on war, it's written on IT, it's written on contemporary world, it's written on any of the topics, it's written on Chandrayaan 3. So if we are reading any topic on Chandrayaan 3, so what we should find out? We should try to find out what is being said about Chandrayaan 3. What are the different ideas the author has shared about Chandrayaan 3? So we need to find out the subject and what is said about the subject. It's not only you became aware with the subject, with the main idea, and now you think, yeah, the Prezi is over. No. We need to find out what is being said about that subject. Then only we can write the Prezi. And it will be a good thing if you find out the lead or the topic sentence. It's most welcome. It's good if we are able to find out the topic sentence during our first reading or second reading. Because this topic sentence, it will help us to see subject clearly. These are the benefits of knowing the topic sentence. And it will also help us to think a little for the Prezi, think of a title of the Prezi. When we are aware with the topic sentence, because topic sentence is closely associated with the title. The topic sentence of any passage, it always starts or it always discusses the topic, the title. So if we are able to locate or find the topic sentence, that means we have found the title of the passage. So we have found the title for our Prezi. So it's better to try to find out the topic sentence. And further reading may be necessary at this stage to make sure that the details of the passage are understood. So further details, as I told you, we should read it once, twice, or thrice so that we can observe or we can get all the details which are there in the passage. And it's better to read the passage slowly this time. During our third or fourth reading, it's better to read slowly, even sentence by sentence, and make sure that everything in the passage is understood. When we read slowly, that means we give more space to thinking. We think clearly, and when we think clearly, there are chances that every passage, every sentence, or every idea of the passage can be understood clearly, because this time we are reading it sentence by sentence. And if this is not done, it's likely that we will miss something important. If we do not read sentence by sentence, if we do not read silently, if we do not try to understand the passage, there are chances that we may miss something essential, some important information. Even that information may be in a short sentence or in a short phrase. So what we need to do for the reading, we need to read carefully. Then when we go with this process of reading, then we will reach to the process of selection. And the process of selection, in the process of selection, the Precis writer, he decides what facts or ideas in the passage are essential and what are secondary or of no importance. So in the process of selection, when we read it carefully once, twice, thrice, when we read it sentence by sentence, when we understand it, we become able to condense the passage and to find out what is essential and what's not essential. This is reading. The second one is writing. So we should first prepare a draft of the Precis, keeping in mind the need to reduce the original length. First, we need to read. We need to write the first draft of the Precis. When you write the first draft of the Precis, you need to keep one thing in your mind, that is, you are reducing the passage to the 1/3 of the length of the actual passage. So this should be kept in mind, that we are going with the process of this reduction. We are reducing the length. The main thoughts expressed in the passage, the ideas it contains, the opinions presented, and the conclusions arrived at should figure in the rough draft. This draft, it should not be like you are excluding the main ideas. No, main ideas, main opinions, and the conclusion of the passage, it should be included in the rough draft. Unimportant things like names of people, places, dates, if you omit them, that's okay. If they do not figure in your rough draft, so there is no need to bother about that, because you are writing a Precis, and for writing a Precis, you need to write important details. And this writing, it may so happen that your first draft is too long. When you are writing a Precis, it will happen to you. The first draft may be too long, and it may sound to you jerky. It's not up to the mark. It's not standard. The word choice is not good. The diction is not good. Sentence structure is little bit arbitrary. It's like a bizarre, this sentence structure. So what we need to do, we need to shorten it if necessary and write out a careful second draft. So for that, we need to revise. We need to write a second draft. If it is longer than the expected length, we need to shorten it. And we need to make it more clear, but not jerky. Then, sometimes you may need to work out 3 or 4 drafts, but with reasonable care and concentration, we can be successful in writing a good Precis. So we need to give reasonable care and concentration. Then only we will be successful in producing a good Precis. And as I told you, a Precis, it is a connected whole. When you are writing your rough drafts, or when you are writing the final draft, remember you are writing a Precis which must be connected, where all the ideas which you are sharing, they should show a clear connection in between them. Then the third one is revision. When you have made your second or final draft, carefully revise it before writing on the fair copy. Now we are done with the final draft, but we should again revise it. No doubt it is our final draft. In order to make a fair copy, in order to make a final copy, it's better to revise it once again so that we can see if is there any small or big mistake, any grammatical mistake, any punctuation mistake, any spelling mistake. And we should not forget to give title to the Precis. There are many people who forget to give title to the Precis. Every Precis requires you to give the title. And there are some do's and don'ts of Precis writing. The first one is we should start with the main idea so that the reader can quickly grasp the plot of the Precis. That is the topic sentence or the lead sentence. And we should remember that the reader will know what your Precis should contain. Hence, write it in original flow of the writer. So it should be written in the original flow of the writer. The message should be clear. These are the do's. And we should include all the essential points. And we should create a proper environment. And we should try to include facts, methods, portions from the original passage. So there should not be any exclusion of the main ideas. Main point should be included but not excluded. It should be written in the environment or in the same spirit in which the original text is written. Then we need to identify all the unimportant information in the passage so that we can exclude that. And it is essential to mention the purpose of writing the Precis. It's essential to write the purpose. Then we need to retain the keywords. We should retain the keywords so that we can use them in our Precis. And we need to check the word count. That's essential. If there is any historical fact in the original text, that should be written in the past tense. Very important thing. That should be written in the past tense. Then, don'ts of a Precis writing. What are the don'ts? What we should avoid while writing a Precis? So the don'ts, it is, we should refrain from writing our own opinions. We cannot share our own opinions. We cannot share our own criticism or remarks about the passage. And we cannot insert any fact taken from the internet. Whatever there is in the passage, we have to write only those details. And we cannot ask questions in the Precis. In case there is any question, it's better to put it in the indirect form. Put it in the form of a sentence. That is in the indirect speech. And use full forms. We should avoid, we should refrain ourselves from using abbreviations or short forms. It's better to use full forms but not short forms. So, and do not spin around the same content. We should not just repeat the same content. We should not spin around the same content. And the writing flow should not be jerky. It gives out the impression that you are not confident with the content. If we are spinning around the main content or the same content, and if we are not maintaining the flow, that will give an impression that we are not confident with the content. And ensure one thing, that Precis is not too long, as it is a summary, and it should be short and crisp. One of the important points among the don'ts is that we should not make it long. We should make it short and crisp because we are writing a Precis. So this is all about Precis writing. I hope you all have understood it well. Thank you. Take care. This is all for today. Thank you. Bye.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.